performance techniques. We're going to have comprehensive tackling. It's going to be fire. We have a lot of great coaches lined up for you guys. We're going to dive deep into techniques.
Hi coaches, I'm Andy Rashad.
And I'm Rashad Elby.
We're the Tackleticians, evaluating your team's disconnects and tackling the solutions. Today we're going to talk about what to do when your athletes shy away from contact. Now, contact is an integral part of the game of football, and if we use some non-scientific big round numbers, about a third of your team is going to embrace the contact aspect of football very quickly. We'll say that second third comes in, they're not sure about contact, but the culture of the game, the values, and the skills of football quickly bring them into the contact realm. But you'll probably have a third of players that don't love the contact. In fact, me and you have both coached at the collegiate level. We both played at the collegiate level.
Sure.
They're great players that don't love contact. It's part of the game, but they have to be willing.
You have to, and I think it's important. You know, I've seen it, like Andy said, when I was at the college level and at the high school level. Everybody doesn't love contact, and that's okay. And as a coach, you have to be able to identify your players, which ones like the contact, and know which ones don't like the contact. But also as a coach, how am I going to put my guys in position to be successful? Because at the end of the day, there's going to be 10 other guys depending on that one guy who may not like the contact to make the play. As coaches, we have to get him comfortable in space and able to make that tackle.
I think comfort is the key word. So we want to address some of the psychological aspects of the tackle as well as skill development. So the first drill we're going to show you is our shoulder battle drill. This is from our advanced tackle system here. And this is a great way to introduce players to a high force environment where there's some physicality and some battle, but without that big initial impact. So as you can see, our players are starting pre-engaged. This takes the impact out of it. This allows players to experience and learn in a more comfortable manner about the forces. So when our players get set shoulder to shoulder here, cleats in the ground, we're looking for that good flat back position, then they start driving. And when this gets competitive, they're using leg drive and cleats in the grass with full power, high force, but no impact. This can be a great way to break down some of those mental barriers and get athletes comfortable with what we call the battles and the friction that's going to be involved when they get to that tackle aspect.
I think one thing that's important to reiterate also is that, and I'll speak from my personal experience, a lot of my coaching experience comes on the offensive side of the ball. So I've coached wide receivers, I've coached running backs, I've coached a lot of the skill positions on the offensive side. As offensive coaches, hey, we watch film too, and we want to know, can your guys tackle? Or who struggles tackling? Who shies away from contact on the defensive side of the ball? There have been times where we might line up in a funky formation and, hey, we're just trying to isolate our running back or our wide receiver on this one defender because we know if we can get our guy in space, we like our chances to win. So a lot of these drills that we're going through right now, the shoulder battle in particular, these are the types of drills that are going to help your defenses, help your players specifically get comfortable with contact and being able to be efficient in the tackle.
So this is a great way to introduce shoulder contact, shoulder pressure, and some of the battle and friction. What's key is now when you tell your athlete you need to get deep, you need to get tight, you need to put your shoulder on them, they have experience. Drills like this make your coaching cues more valuable because the athlete knows what you're saying is going to result in an action that they've done before and they're comfortable in that situation.
Now, Andy, as an offensive coach, whether it's running backs or wide receivers, I teach my guys, run your feet through contact. It's super important to run your feet on contact. I'm looking at this drill and I'm seeing the defenders here also running their feet on contact, upon contact. Talk to me a little bit about what you would teach your guys as a defensive coach and having their feet driving.
So we say we got to keep our cleats in the grass at all times to generate leg drive. One of the reasons I like this drill is we're really putting our players at a pretty crazy body position where we're stressing their ability to keep cleats in the grass and generate leg drive. If we can keep our cleats in the grass in these super low elongated positions, we should be able to have a good kinesthetic feel, spatial awareness, coordination to keep our cleats in the grass and generate leg drive on all of our tackles. Also, the players will realize really quickly, if I don't drive my feet, I lose this drill. My buddy beats me, we're having a little fun, we're talking to each other. So they learn very quickly the value of, to win the drill, I have to keep my cleats in the ground and generate leg drive. The same way on game day, they realize if they don't do that, they're gonna lose the play. Sure. But again, high competition, high force, really manageable. Great way to break down and get athletes a little more comfortable with the contact aspect before we progress them to the full tackle. The next drill we're going to look at is going to be a very similar idea, but we're going to target the upper body action. So this is going to be our dominate on the deck drill, again from our advanced shoulder tackle system, where we're going to have our offensive player lay on the ground. Our defensive player fits in like he has the tackle, so we're working the clamp and grips, that upper body grapple aspect, the fight, the friction that it takes to bring an actual ball carrier to the ground against his will, because again, you're not coaching him to fall down. Exactly. So when the drill starts, this player is going to try to roll away, and we're going to introduce the upper body battle, the upper body fight to stay connected and finish the job. Removing collision, removing impact, but introducing players to the spaces that they're going to be involved in the tackle, that personal space and that personal friction of that individual battle. So now he tries to roll and I try to keep him on his back. I try to keep his hips down. I have to learn how to be powerful and strong inside of the grapple. This mimics the aspect post-contact when we've made good shoulder connection, and now we have to continue the battle, the forces, the fight to do the job. Great way to get our players comfortable inside of these battles without having to do an actual full tackle so that we can help break down those mental hurdles. We talk about this as kind of stress inoculation. Sure. We're introducing the concept so we can build that confidence and they know what they're getting themselves into the first time they get to a true tackle drill.
Sure. As an offensive coach, what we pride ourselves in doing is getting our offensive skill guys in space and trusting our guys to be able to win in space. I think that, for defenders, a lot of times it becomes difficult or challenging to secure that tackle in space. But one thing I'm seeing, what we're teaching here with this drill, Andy, is the strong clamp of the arms behind the body. I think that is a great way to secure the tackle in the open field, which we're trying to prevent against as offensive coaches. But I think this drill does a great job of, one, taking out the collision aspect, but then it's teaching the player to wrap his arms securely around the offensive guy's legs, which at that point we're stuck. We can't get away. Play's over for us. So I think this is a great drill of teaching that.
And now using bags is a very common way to introduce tackling and contact, and we're big fans of it. We absolutely recommend it. The thing about a bag is when I get my hands around it, it really doesn't try to break the tackle. So stacking a drill like this with some of our bag work allows us to not just work on the shoulder strike on a bag, but then introduce the physical battle part of it that makes the tackle. A lot of players may look comfortable on a standalone bag that doesn't provide resistance and doesn't fight back. When we get into our one-on-one tackle drills, that's when they tend to shy away because they understand there's going to be force, there's going to be resistance, there's going to be the battle, and they don't like that. That's why this, stacked on top of something like shoulder battle, plus our technical teaching versus bags, can then be put together to mimic the full tackle and allow athletes to learn the skills individually before we reassemble it. After we progress from this type of drill, where we're breaking down the contact aspects, building confidence and addressing the psychology, we're going to have to tackle each other at some point in practice to get ready for the game day. Now, on game day, coaches know that we're going to have to tackle whoever the other team gives the ball to. We have to be able to tackle anyone. We have to be able to tackle everyone. But coaches need to be careful. Just because you need it on game day doesn't mean you need it on day one. We have the full preseason to build guys up to the level to be able to tackle a big hulking tight end running down the seam. So early in your preseason, what's highly recommended is find the best matchups. If you have multiple smaller athletes, if you have athletes that aren't comfortable in contact, or maybe they're new to football and lack the skills, we want to match those players up during those first early weeks so that they're working on a level that's psychologically and skill-wise comfortable for them. During the preseason, as their skills develop, we can slowly stretch them, start having them tackle we'll call more difficult challenges so that they're prepared for game day. But don't rush the progression. Don't rush the process. Allow athletes to compete at a good level for them, and then as they build their skills, progress them so that by the end of week 3 or week 4, now they're capable of tackling whoever has the ball. And this goes into quality teaching progressions, not just with the drills, but also using the coach's eye to manage the situation.
Yes.
Last point we want to make here is that we're big believers that you need to make sure you give your athletes the tools. Everyone's heard the saying, if you're a hammer, everything is the nail. As a football coach, if you only give your athletes one way to get the player to the ground, say we're going to teach the form tackle through the near pec, not all of your athletes are going to love that upper body collision, that full contact aspect where it takes a lot of upper body strength. Maybe some of your smaller, faster guys are going to feel more confident with the lower body tackle series, our thigh and drive and our thigh and roll. So by teaching your athletes all 3 tackle types, what you're ensuring is they have a tool that they're comfortable with and then can utilize in your game situations to make sure that they can show the confidence. Because players who trust the technique or think, I have a skill that can get the job done, often go into the tackle situation with kind of the enthusiasm that we mistake for toughness, or they don't shy away because they know they can do it. But if you're asking the smallest guy on your team to tackle the biggest guy on the other team up here, he may shy away from it.
Sure.
Giving him tools allows him to self-select what he feels most comfortable with. So as long as you teach the skill well and your players can execute it correctly and safely, there is no problem in letting them self-select the tackle type that fits their body best.
And, that's a great point you bring up, Andy. And conversely, offensively, hey, we teach our guys also, there's multiple moves that you can make to help beat a defender. So just like we're teaching, multiple ways to tackle or get a man to the ground, we're teaching our guys multiple ways to get open, to break a tackle, to, get yourself an open field, to win your one-on-one matchup also. So I think, talking and listening and, putting everything together, there's more than one way to skin a cat. But you have to know your players, you have to know your system, and just as a coach, be able to put your players in a proper position to be successful, to secure the tackle.
So kind of to wrap up, some things to think about when players who are shying away from contact. Address the psychological side first. Are players comfortable in the areas of combatives, friction, personal space? Can we build those drills and try to limit some of that psychological barrier before we progress to the full tackle? Let's knock down those walls, get players used to contact aspects before we move them to speed and space. When we get to our tackle drills, make sure you work the progression. Find quality matchups early, build their skills, and don't rush what's needed on game day when you have a full preseason to get it out of them.
Yep.
Finally, make sure we're addressing multiple tools and multiple tackle types so that players can choose one that fits them best and they can demonstrate confidence in. Therefore, they'll often not shy away from contact because they have a technique that they feel good about instead of trying to be a hammer when maybe they're just kind of the little wooden mallet and aren't prepared for that sort of tackle in that situation. Youth coaches, unlock more resources on prep for contact and other contact skills by getting your youth coach certification. With this, you get access to many of USA Football's coach materials, including webinars and the Coach Planner app.
High school coaches can find more details on blocking, feeding blocks, and tackling through our high school coach certifications and systems. Find out more about what USA Football offers at footballdevelopment.com.
And don't forget our partners over at MVP. They're the creators of the world's first robotic, self-righting tackling dummy. Check them out at mvpdummy.com. Thanks for joining us, Coach. I'm Andy Ryland.
And I'm Rashad Elby.
See us next time as we evaluate the disconnects and tackle the solutions.